Hi there. Back again with some more on chapter 5. Okay, where's chapter 5? There we go. We're back to objective 4 on chapter 5 on sampling, surveys and sampling. And we're going to describe some ways of summarizing sample data, including frequency distributions and statistics in this lecture. Okay, well, let's first go to how you summarize data. Once you get a set of scores, let's say, for example, you've measured the number of math classes taken in college or the salaries of employees, those are some things you could possibly measure. You would enter them into a database. And that database could be something like Excel, or it could be something a little bit more fancy like a statistics program. And then you can graph the scores, you can do some basic statistics on them. And of course, we're not doing statistics in this class, but we will talk about some of the kinds of things that you can do, and they'll be familiar to you already. One of the things that you can do is a frequency distribution, and a frequency distribution is done for a data that are usually nominal. So in a nominal data set like this, for example, most use technology, we will be able to this is obviously a nominal measure because just computer, TV, telephone, none is more than the other. It's not a quantitative measure. So we would use a bar chart for that. In this case, where we have an interval measure here, we have years and we have the minimum wage, then we could graph that on a line graph there. Okay, that is called a frequency curve when you graph it on a line graph. Now, sometimes you can get skewed distributions when there are outliers. So you can get somebody way, way out on one end of the distribution, and that can happen in a frequency distribution. Okay, here's an example of a bar chart. It's not very clear. Here's an example of some data that you could use to put into, for example, a line graph or a frequency distribution. And that would look something like this, where you have over these days, this is how much the temperature varied in New York City. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the basics of statistics, and you may know some of this from statistics class. Again, it'll just be conceptual because we won't actually be doing any of the statistics in this class. There are two basic groups of statistics, the descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. The descriptive statistics just describe your sample. And so, for example, you could get the mean, and the mean would be a descriptive statistics, median, mode, standard deviation. Those are all descriptive statistics. They tell you about your sample. Inferential statistics allow you to infer things about the population. And so from your sample, you can look at the probability that this would happen in your population. And you'll learn about these in stats class, again, not in here, but we'll look at some basic descriptive statistics. So one of the basic types of descriptive statistics is what's called central tendency. Central meaning where is sort of the center of the data, or where is the center of the data set. So with a mean, it's just an average, and that gives us kind of the middle of the data set in some ways. Median is when you line up a bunch of numbers and you look at what is the middle number. The mode is the most common number. And you can go ahead and pause here and figure out how you do a mean, median, and mode of those data that I'm giving you there. Finally, we have a measure in descriptive statistics called variability or dispersion. And that's how much the scores are spread out. So in both of these cases, with the red line and the blue line, we have a mean right at 50. And so that's going to be our mean, or our middle there. But so in that sense, both are the same, the red line and the blue line distribution. But in the blue line distribution, you can see that the scores only go from about 35 to 65, whereas in the red distribution, they go all the way down to from 10 to 90. So what this variability does is it tells us how far the scores range to either side. And so the range is one that you know. So you could say, my mean age was 25 years old with a range of 20 to 30. So the lowest age you collected was a 20, the highest age you collected from your participants was a 30. And in that case, the range would be 10, right? Because you subtract the low from the high. Variance and standard deviation are kind of, the calculation, we're not going to do it, but it does the same kind of thing. It tells you how much that scores are spread out from that middle. And that's all I've got for chapter 5. So thanks for listening and have a great day.